Okay, so this is going to be a part 1 of 2, where I'm going to do a little video on the groundwork exercises I do on all horses before I get on them. I do it to all age horses, regardless of where they are in training. And what it does is it really sets the horse up to understand all the aids that I'm going to use before I get on, and then use those same aids. So the first one's going to be a one rein stop on the floor, which is very easy to do. This starts teaching them to yield to pressure in the mouth. It also creates flexion through the neck and lateral flexion, and it teaches them to soften on the bit and stop their feet from moving. I don't personally ever use a one rein stop as an emergency brake, though some people do. Is what I use it for under saddle is to really create a lot more communication, and to get them to realise that the bit is not there to constrain or control or to physically leverage them. It is there to communicate, and in theory, once a horse understands all the aids and is taught everything, you should be able to take the bridle off to ride it. Okay, so how we're going to do this one rein stop. So I'm going to take a fairly nice length rein. I'm going to walk him around onto a circle as if I'm lunging him. And I'm going to slowly bring my hand back to where my knee would be, and then to the back outside of the saddle. Okay, so out on the circle. And then back to where my knee would be, up to the outside of the saddle. Now, if your horse keeps spinning, I just walk with it. I don't want to change anything I'm doing. I don't want to pull harder. I don't want to shorten the rein. I don't want to lengthen the rein. I want him to soften his head, have a lick and a chew, lower his head. What I'm really looking for is for him to make the rein go baggy and his feet to be stood still. And once he does that, even for a second, I'm going to click. I'm going to release, click and reward, because that's how I train, but it works perfectly well if you just release. Okay, so the same on the other side. Send him out. Back to where my knee would be, up to the outside of the saddle where my hip would be. I want to wait for him to soften, feet got to stop moving. One thing to point out is I'm not pulling the head around. I'm only moving my hands so far back as he resists, and I wait for him to give. So sometimes on stiffer horses, or horses that are a bit confused about the bit and not so educated in what the bit means, sometimes what that looks like is you might only bring your hand back here, and you might have to wait for the head to give. And once the head gives, you can readjust and readjust and readjust. So it's never going to be about pulling the head round. And if you pull the head round, what tends to happen is they learn to pull into the bit a little bit more, and they don't fully understand what it is they're being released for. And that's the one rein stop on the floor. That's what I do before I get on every horse. Part 2 is going to be coming up next, which will be the next groundwork exercise I do before I get on a horse.